Thanks to a groundbreaking discovery, top researchers from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, we now know that there's one tiny, yet very important microorganism wreaking havoc inside your body as we speak, possibly creating a loop of death in your bloodstream. Their findings are now the talking point of all diabetologists around the globe, all of which are studying how exactly this cell fills your arteries with fat, causing you to have type 2 diabetes. From there on, if your blood is poisoned by it, there's a high possibility that your other organs, such as your kidneys, liver, or pancreas, will be affected as well. However, there is a way to target these small, dangerous cells and kill them instantly, fixing your type 2 diabetes in a range from 9 weeks to 4 months. This efficient method is revolutionizing medicine around the world, leaving patients that have been suffering from type 2 diabetes their entire lives with a smile on their face, finally beating this seemingly invincible disease in the blink of an eye. This 50-year-old Portuguese man said that he found himself hopeless and at risk of limb amputation before trying this method. He had already gone through several diabetic comas, and his blood pressure wasn't in the best condition either. His degenerating eyesight was the last drop, and he even considered taking his own life. However, after only a few weeks of using this formula, he managed to win the battle against his type 2 diabetes and is now healthier than he has ever been, 2 years later. Or this 39-year-old Japanese lady who was already at death's door, thinking that her condition was incurable and was ready to accept the fact that she would soon lose a limb or suffer a fatal heart attack. After using this formula, she became type 2 diabetes-free and said that her blood sugar levels are now lower than ever, even after 6 months of reversal. I understand this may come as a shock to you. I was skeptical too at first. These emotions are normal, especially when you lived your life so far only thinking about the lies and misconceptions of modern world doctors. But the truth is much simpler than what they're telling you. Limb amputation, coronary disease, eyesight loss, these risks will become things of the past once you understand how to rid yourself of the burden of type 2 diabetes. Just imagine how happy you'll be when you rediscover the energy you thought you once thought lost. Spending time with your loved ones, eating all the food you enjoyed, and partaking in activities you never thought you would again, such as sports, jogging, and even drinking with your buddies on a Saturday night. All this power will be in the palm of your hand. As I'm writing this, I'm eating the most delicious chocolate cake ever without a second thought given to my type 2 diabetes. Why? Well, because it's long gone. Thanks to this groundbreaking method. In the 5 years I've been suffering from this terrible condition, I've seen it all. Risk of limb amputation, diabetic comas, even a slight eyesight loss. Of course, I was terrified. I wanted to be healthy enough to see my children grow big and strong, and I wasn't sure I could do that. Fast forward a year ago, when I first came across your discovery, a mere month in, and my type 2 diabetes was 100% reversed. This worked better than any doctor-prescribed medication I've been given, so thanks a bunch. Or James, 55, from North Carolina, who wanted to tell us this. I've been suffering from type 2 diabetes for over 10 years. During this time, I tried everything the doctors told me to try, but my blood sugar levels have never decreased. I started to think that I was beyond salvation, and that no matter how much I prayed for a cure, nobody would be able to help me. That is, until I stumbled upon this formula. It was nothing short of a miracle. My prayers had been answered. In 90 days, not only did I manage to reverse my type 2 diabetes, but I also lost somewhere around 50 pounds. I feel young and rejuvenated again. These are just a couple of the hundreds of messages I receive in my inbox daily. It fills me with joy knowing that my discovery helped so many people in so little time. What's even more impressive about this ritual is that it's so simple and efficient that it can easily make a $320 billion industry go bankrupt in a flash. That's exactly why, among all those messages, there are always a couple from lawyers and companies threatening to pursue legal action against me. And it makes sense. Wouldn't you be willing to spend millions of dollars in legal fees if you were them, all in order to save this big of an industry? Trust me, they'd do anything in their power to stop us from offering you a dirt-cheap, effective solution to your problem. But I'll do my best to keep this up for as long as possible. After all, what I'm doing here can change your life completely and shatter your beliefs about type 2 diabetes. And believe me, this isn't information that you'll find anywhere else on the web, so stick with me to the end, as I, for one, would be 6 feet under if it weren't for it. But before we talk about that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Brian Jensen, and I'm a 54-year-old chef. I have been in this field for over 20 years, And that's how I met my wife, Anna, with which I have two lovely daughters, Tina and Jasmine. As a chef, you can already tell that my favorite thing in the world is food. From steaks to pasta and delicious cakes, I can cook some of the best dishes you can think of. And even though I like to indulge in the things I eat, I never seem to have a problem with weight or blood sugar levels. In fact, for most of my life, I've been as healthy as they get. Everything happened so suddenly, I didn't know how to react. One day, I just woke up with a strong urge to eat an entire box of ice cream. Later on that day, I ate a chocolate bar and then another and another until I ate about 10 of them. Before I knew it, in less than 2 weeks, I managed to put on about 30 pounds. I began feeling dizzy and tired more than usual, so I went ahead and scheduled a doctor's appointment. Turns out I was suffering from type 2 diabetes. Needless to say, I was shocked. I thought the doctor had it wrong, so I told him to check the results again, but everything was beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, the thing that was bugging me was this. I was one sturdy man for most of my life. I had no weight problems, I always tried to eat healthy, and I barely even got a flu. However, as I started aging, I knew that I would be more prone to things like these, but not in this manner. I even started exercising daily, counting calories, and being careful with what I ate. Of course, I would indulge in the occasional carb, but I wouldn't cross the line with it. From the moment the doctor laid the news to me, my life went downhill. As my health worsened, and I gained more weight, which put me at risk for heart attacks and circulatory diseases, my doctor recommended I take Avendoril so the symptoms won't be as strong, and hopefully my disease will soon go away. But that only made things worse. Besides the fact that my blood sugar levels rose to an all-time high at a stunning 240. On top of that, my legs started feeling weird, and I was experiencing a feeling of numbness in them, which I often disregarded and blamed it on my posture. My body started aching all over, and I put on another 100 pounds over the course of 2 years. During one of the checkups, the doctor told me that I should start taking insulin shots since my condition was getting worse and worse, and I had no choice but to listen. If you want to hear a fearsome statistic about insulin shots, hear me out. A shot of insulin in the US can cost somewhere around $300. Multiply that by the number of shots a type 2 diabetic needs per month, and you'll see that the average person can spend more than $10,000 on insulin. Now, I consider myself one of the lucky ones who can afford to spend that much money. After all, I prize my health more than anything else, so I will always prioritize that. But I was shocked to see that even after a few months of insulin shots, I wasn't feeling any better. Quite the opposite. The tiredness and numbness I felt in my leg began growing in intensity until they made it impossible for me to work anymore. I couldn't even take part in the most normal activities alongside my wife and grandchildren, since every little bit of effort was too much for me. My immunity got shabby, and most of the time I felt feverish and had constant sweet cravings. To top it all off, I had to face constant diarrhea as well. Little did I know back then that the worst was yet to come. I remember it like it was yesterday. My wife and I were making plans for our family's Thanksgiving dinner when I felt a strong pain in my left leg. Anna, it hurts so much. This pain is unbearable. Before I even finished my sentence, I fell to the ground, and the last thing I remember is my wife rushing to my side and calling the ambulance. When I woke up, I saw my entire family by the side of my bed. I was feeling drained, but the sadness looming in that room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. When the doctor came into the room, he delivered the most terrible and shocking news I was ever given to hear. Sir, your type 2 diabetes is about to become so severe that it will put your life in grave danger. And by looking at your tests results, we're probably going to have to amputate your legs soon. Not only that, but you're 10 times more prone to diabetic comas and heart attacks than you were when you last got your checkup. And if this keeps going on for too long, you'll even be at risk for degenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. I'm scheduling you for intervention in 4 months. This should give you enough time to prepare, while we keep running some tests. I couldn't utter a single word to him. I felt as if the ground was crumbling beneath my feet, and I was falling into a pit of despair. On our way home, my wife and I didn't exchange a single word. We were both on the verge of crying. I knew my life wouldn't be the same, but that wasn't even the worst part. Imagine the struggle Anna would have to endure if I were to become disabled. That was something I wasn't willing to put her through. The following weeks were miserable for me. I couldn't even get out of bed without feeling the stabbing pains in my leg. And I didn't even feel the need to do it. I was spiraling into depression, and I had nothing to hold on to. Some days, I would even wake up with the thought of suicide, thinking that my family would be better off without taking care of a sad old man like me. And how could I not be right? After all, who would want to wake up and sacrifice hours and hours of their daily life just to take care of somebody like me, who doesn't even have that long to live anyway? I was already prone to heart attacks and diabetic comas, so my life was as fragile as a snowdrop. And to top it all off, my eyesight was getting worse by the day. It was excruciating, and I really thought the only way out of this nightmare was to end it with my own hands. Those were one thoughts until one fateful morning when I realized that I had two options. Option one was to continue my life the way it was, like a wreck, always needing help from others, and facing possible limb amputation or heart attack, always listening to the doctor's useless advice, filling up on medication that never seems to help, and spending the money I otherwise would have left my spouse or grandchildren. Then there was option two: stop feeling sorry for myself, take my life into my own hands, and free myself from the shackles of type 2 diabetes. Needless to say, I took option two, and I had less than 3 months to do something about it. It was pretty hard, to say the least. I didn't even know where to begin. I looked up some of the most prestigious medical sites, journals, and magazines. I started browsing dedicated forums and websites and read stories from people all around the world. I even subscribed to online libraries, thinking that I would find something there. Of course, I started reading about the whole limb amputation thing that was looming like a dark cloud above my head. And what I found sent shivers down my spine. According to a study published by the American Diabetes Association, more than 50% of the limb amputation procedures are performed on people suffering from diabetes. But what was even more traumatizing is that the same article noted a mortality rate as high as 80% in the patients that underwent the procedure. Basically, what they were telling me was that not only would I lose my leg, but my survival wasn't guaranteed at all after that. So I went deeper, trying to see if my left leg was the only thing that I would lose due to this awful condition. And it didn't stop there. According to this study written by a researcher from University of Chicago's Kovler Diabetes Center, I was also at risk for diabetic retinopathy, kidney disease, and macrovascular problems. To put it simply, my elevated blood sugar levels were like a poison, chipping away at my organism's health and slowly sending me into an abyss of pain. My eyes, my kidneys, and my entire circulatory system would soon become damaged beyond repair. The more I looked into it, the grimmer it seemed. And there was one more question that was bugging me now. What is the medical community doing about it? And why are the doctor-prescribed drugs doing nothing to help my body? Bear with me, because in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to reveal a dark secret that the big pharmaceutical conglomerates don't want you to know. A secret that could potentially save you thousands of dollars, time, and energy. This could be a game changer when it comes to how you see the whole prescription medication business, and as soon as you'll hear it, you're going to knock on your doctor's door and demand some serious explanation. Before everything, I need you to think about the following sentence. The whole US insulin industry is worth more than $10 billion. Not only is this half of the worldwide market value, but it's also controlled by 5 major companies. So when you put your lives in the hands of your beloved doctor, who always takes care of you, you should also consider the money he gets for shoving these drugs down your throat. Can you really not think of a moment when your doctor recommended you take a bunch of costly pills for something really mild as a flu? That's because most of them are actually paid in the millions to give you these expensive pills just so Big Pharma can keep milking the cash cow to fill their own pockets. But it makes sense. Wouldn't you invest a couple $1 million in something that could potentially bring you millions? I was fuming. So not only did I struggle with my condition, but my own doctor was giving me some useless, expensive medication that didn't help at all as well. Not only did it not help, but as I went on with my research, I discovered that these things were damaging my body as well. According to a study conducted by a British site, type 2 diabetes medication can cause conditions such as low blood sugar, upset stomach, skin rash or itching, weight gain, gas, bloating and diarrhea, risk of liver disease, anemia, and the list goes on. But I had no time to dwell on that. I was in a race against time, and I was losing, so I had to step up my game. There had to be something that could help me with my condition. After all, I heard all types of stories about people from all over the globe who managed to pull the reverse switch on their type 2 diabetes, so why couldn't I do the same? For example, this 43-year-old French man said that he reversed his condition in a mere 2 weeks and is now healthier than ever. Same goes for a 30-year-old British woman who had been suffering from type 2 diabetes for more than a decade and was now freed from the shackles of insulin. And the list went on and on. but there were very few leads to follow. There was, however, a single name connecting all of them: Dr. Tsu. Before I go on, I want to say that Dr. Tsu is a pseudonym he insisted I use just to protect him from any harm Big Pharma may want to cause him. After cross-referencing his name on a few medical sites, I managed to create a short list of people who would be the Dr. Tsu I was looking for, but there was one of them who stood out in particular. I must say it was pretty difficult to contact him, and I was shocked to see that he lived a 2 hours drive away from me. I wrote an email to him, explaining my situation and asking if we could meet up to talk about possible solutions. He agreed, but his only request was that he should choose our meeting place. A few days later, he came to pick me up and took me to a remote house in a village that was close to our city. During the ride, whenever I tried talking to him, he seemed secretive and shushed me right away. "Not here, not now," he kept saying. But when we got there, his whole attitude changed. He was more welcoming, warmer, and he couldn't stop saying how happy he is that I contacted him. "You see, Brian, I was very intrigued to see you. Out of all the type 2 diabetes cases I've dealt with, yours is by far the most interesting." He then continued, "The reason why I chose to only talk to you when we got here is because I am afraid. From what I can tell, you already know how Big Pharma controls the market. If a revolutionary method that could easily push the type 2 diabetes reverse button hidden deep inside your organism would be presented to the world, they'd do anything in their power to stop it from being distributed. This is one of the reasons why I wanted us to come here to tell you about my discovery." At that point, I was intrigued. He then kept going, "You see, if you ask anyone in the medical community, they're going to tell you that your lifestyle is what caused you your type 2 diabetes. Let me just say this, they can't be more wrong. A few years ago, I was part of a team that was supposed to look into the reasons behind type 2 diabetes. After a few months of research, one of my colleagues came to me and told me that he made a breakthrough, something so innovative that the whole world will now be able to rid themselves of this debilitating condition. He didn't want to tell me more, saying that he still needed to get some more information on this. However, he did tell me one thing: ceramides. I was curious, but I didn't want to pry, so I let him do his research. But the very next day, I saw a couple of tough guys in suits come and pick him and some other scientists up, shoving them in a van and sending them away. We haven't heard from them since. Their desks were emptied, but in their rush, they left out a few files with important research, which I managed to grab and use for future reference. Needless to say, the program got shut down pretty quick, since we were really close to finding a cure, while all they wanted was another substance, to which honest Americans would get addicted. But based on that sheet, what my friend told me, and some new emerging studies from clinics and universities all around the world, I have found it, the real cause of type 2 diabetes. One may argue that the reason behind high blood sugar levels is actually sugar, and that's it. But if you look into the problem, you'll see that there's more to it. A study published in the U.S. National Library of Medicine noted that sugar consumption is currently decreasing in the U.S., while the American Diabetes Association projected that the number of type 2 diabetics in the U.S. will increase by a whopping 165% by 2050. So no, sugar isn't actually what's causing your type 2 diabetes. But according to my friend, and a study published by the top scientists at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, the real reason behind this disease are tiny particles in your blood called ceramides. But what are ceramides? I asked. You see, these tiny microorganisms force the fat to rush into the bloodstream, from where they can end up in your organs, clogging them up and causing every vital part of your organism to malfunction, including your pancreas. And since your insulin factory is out of order, the sugar can run freely through your body, wreaking havoc inside you. It's a matter of luck. Some people can easily flush these ceramides out of their body, while others are stuck with them for who knows how long. What's even worse is that no amount of exercise or no diets are strong enough to help you get rid of them. Not to mention all the prescription medication that's supposedly treating you is actually making your organism weaker, so the ceramides are stronger and will clog you up with more and more fat. It's a vicious cycle, and if you think about the side effects this has on your body, it only makes sense. Clogged arteries can lead to heart issues and other vascular afflictions, putting your life in danger at any moment. To sum it all up, if you don't get rid of the evil ceramides inside your system and of the fat that's currently clogging up your body, you'll never be able to eradicate type 2 diabetes. And it sounds pretty simple, but when you see how damaged your organism is after years of unknowingly fighting a hidden enemy, you'll realize why it's a problem that had no solution up until recently. This is what I've been researching these past few years, and this is why I brought you here, in this remote house. He took me into his yard, where I saw a lot of plants that were unknown to me growing there. You see, where I come from, people don't really have a problem with this disease because we've been taught that the things that keep us healthy can always be found in nature. Imagine that your body is a grill on which you've just cooked a lot of fatty foods. If you leave it overnight, it's almost impossible to flush all the grease away. But using these plants, in the specific quantities I have noted right here, you can easily get your body up and running, with no trace of fat around your organs in no time. This is a formula so powerful that it can easily switch things around for people suffering from type 2 diabetes, no matter for how long they've been fighting it. Before I start, I need you to remember, this formula only works if it's administered in the exact amounts I have here. If you get it wrong by even a milligram, it can become redundant. Initially, I added some vitamin C, E, magnesium, and zinc. According to a placebo study conducted on 170 people suffering from type 2 diabetes, published in the National Library of Medicine, vitamin C and E have been proven to reduce the level of blood sugar in the 86 patients who were administered the actual supplements, while the placebo group had no change in their levels whatsoever. Not only that, but it reduced their blood pressure and hypertension risk in no time. The reason why I chose to add magnesium was because, according to this study conducted by British researchers, magnesium actually amplifies the insulin's effect, a thing a type 2 diabetic definitely needs, since ceramides have lowered the level of insulin in their body. Plus, when you're suffering from this condition, you're usually eliminating the much-needed zinc through urine, leaving your body without one of the most important vitamins to fight the evil ceramides wreaking havoc inside your organism. Once we have the 4 elements that are going to lower your blood sugar levels and make up for the lack of vitamins in your body, we're going to focus on the ingredients that actively fight the fat cells clogging up your organs. First, we have chromium, which makes sure the glucose in the blood is efficiently delivered and absorbed by the cells, while also helping you get rid of unwanted fat, whether it's around your belly or inside your arteries or in your organs. Then we have banaba leaves, because of their renowned ability of lowering the blood sugar levels and fighting against the fat that clogs your arteries, thus reducing the risk of heart failure. Next, there's juniper berry powder to help restore your gut's health and protect you against inflammation, creating a perfect environment for your body's immune system to properly fight off any ceramides that may still be in your body. After that, we have guggul, a plant extract that contains substances which can lower cholesterol levels and kill unnecessary fat that clogs your bloodstream. I wanted to add a little bit of bitter melon as well, for its insulin-like properties and for its proven effectiveness when it comes to lowering blood sugar levels, aiding weight loss, helping you remove any fat around your liver and body as a whole, and speeding up the glucose assimilation process. And then, yarrow flower powder, a plant-based compound that helps lower blood sugar levels, helps the glucose in the bloodstream, and supplies other cells with the glucose they need, targeting the effects of ceramides and annihilating them in no time flat. Another powerful ingredient is alpha-lipoic acid that's known to melt away fat, help in weight loss, is one of the most powerful antioxidants out there and does wonders when it comes to reducing the risk of heart disease. Last, but certainly not least, one of the most powerful and important substances in this mixture, biotin. This compound is a work of art, really. It improves glucose and triglyceride levels in people with type 2 diabetes, and it is a vital vitamin that's needed to activate a major enzyme involved in glucose metabolism. These are some of the most important elements of my special 20-ingredient mix. That is the only surefire way of eliminating the fat that has been clogging up your organism and giving you this horrible condition. And so I listened to him. I got home, and starting the following day, I began taking one of these capsules every day. At first, I was really skeptical. Could it all be that simple? But there was nothing left to try for me, so I wholeheartedly believed in Dr. Su's discovery. In the first days, I didn't really feel any change. I was still tired, dizzy, my eyesight was pretty bad, and the numbness in my leg was still there. But by the end of the first week, something amazing happened, and I didn't even realize it. When we went to bed, my wife Anna was crying. And when I asked her what's wrong, she simply said this, "Brian, that's the point. You haven't complained about your leg the whole day." And she was completely right. Little did I know back then that it was the last day when I would ever feel that numbness in any form. From there on, things went uphill. My eyesight was getting a little better by the day, I was no longer dealing with diarrhea and dizziness, and I even lost around 20 pounds. Everything was going great. And when the time finally came, I decided to take another blood sugar test. Surprise, surprise, the readings were normal. I had finally reversed my type 2 diabetes. I was eager to talk to my friend and tell him that his discovery was the real thing, so I called him and let him in on the good news. Needless to say, he was excited to hear about it, but then he told me this. Brian, this next step is incredibly important. What you don't know about this is that you're the first person to try this supplement in this form. And I wanted to see if the results were as expected. But right now, we need to find more people to test this on. Can you gather some people and tell them what this is all about? Right from the beginning, I knew that Dr. Tsu and I were on the same wavelength. We both wanted to share this amazing secret with the world, but we had to start small. But we set some ground rules before even gathering the initial test subjects. Rule number 1. This had to work for everybody, with no exception, whether they had been suffering from type 2 diabetes for years or for mere months, and even if they were just pre-diabetics. Secondly, it had to work quickly, since most people don't have the time I had. And thirdly, if the first two conditions were fulfilled, we would move on to mass production. We managed to gather 94 people who were willing to try our product, people ranging from 20 to 80 years of age, people who had been suffering from this disease for more than half their life, and even pre-diabetics. We gave them the product and some forms, and told them to track their journey on them and send it to us when they were done. From personal experience, I knew that I had to wait for more than 2 weeks for the first reports to come in. But what happened shocked me. There were a couple of people that wrote to us saying that their blood sugar levels were in the normal area and their blood pressure had lowered dramatically. But we couldn't be too excited, so we waited until all the reports came in. The results were absolutely staggering. Out of all the people, 93 of them recorded lower blood sugar levels and blood pressure, with an average of 30 pounds lost during the testing period. As for the remaining person, they just didn't send the report and stopped answering altogether. The positive results didn't stop there. Anybody who was experiencing numbness in their limbs and diabetic retinopathy said that their symptoms became milder and milder, and 43 of them even said they stopped experiencing them at all. Everybody was healthier, with their fat levels at a safe level and their cardiovascular health in perfect condition. Dr. Tsu and I considered this a tremendous success, meaning we could move forward with mass-producing the supplement. This was the tricky part, because before we ventured into this, we had a few non-negotiable requests we agreed upon. First, if we did this, we had to do it by the book, with only the highest quality and purest ingredients possible. To achieve that, Dr. Tsu had to speak with some of his connections in his homeland, who could provide us with the best plants from which we can extract the substances needed for this formula. These people are the real deal. They are local growers who let their plants mature naturally without using herbicides or any foreign substances. On top of that, we needed a facility that was big and high quality enough to sustain our process. Again, Dr. Tsu came through and managed to get a hold of such a facility that not only was FDA approved and GMP certified, but it also had a high standard of sterilization, seeing that every impurity can damage the process. We had everything we needed except a name. After giving it a lot of thought, we came up with the name Glucotox, the only 100% natural, GMO-free supplement that can help you reverse your type 2 diabetes and shields you against the fat that's been clogging up your arteries. This is the exact formula that helped me and 120,000 other people hit the reverse button on their type 2 diabetes, defeating the bad effects ceramides have had on our body. Just listen to some of the messages me and Dr. Tsu received on our addresses. Janice, 42 from Miami, told us this. I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes about 10 years ago, and my doctor put me on metformin first, just to see how the disease would develop. Fast forward a year later, and I was practically addicted to insulin. I needed more than 3 doses per week, but I was lucky enough that I could afford them. I don't want to imagine what would have happened to me if I couldn't. But that didn't do the trick. I kept feeling sick, tired, stripped of any energy and joy I had, and I had to stop eating my favorite foods. I found little meaning in life. That was until I stumbled upon this product. The reviews looked amazing, so I decided to give it a try. To this day, I still believe that it was the best decision of my life. It only took a few for it to take full effect. And now, I feel like I'm 20 again. On top of that, I lost 50 pounds in no time, so I look like a teenager as well. All thanks to you two. Or Josh, 47, from New Jersey, who said, for more than half of my life, I had to deal with this insufferable condition. Just imagine, I haven't tasted cake in more than 20 years. I couldn't even eat my own birthday cake. Every treatment they gave me had its side effects. I gained weight, I felt tired all the time, stripped of any joy, and at one point, I almost had to have a leg amputated. Good thing I found out about your discovery in time. It reversed my type 2 diabetes in less than a month. Just think about it. This capsule managed to do in less than a month what modern medicine failed to achieve in 3 decades. It's fascinating. I can honestly say that I owe my life to you guys. These are only a couple of the hundreds of messages we receive daily. We are always thrilled to hear how this discovery managed to turn around the lives of so many people around the world. After hearing all this, you're probably eager to find out more about how you can get your hands on this amazing product. Truth is, right now, it's extremely hard for us to provide a large quantity of Glucotox to the world. That's because we only use the highest quality ingredients, so we have to wait for our producers to grow more of the ingredients in the normal conditions. Plus, we have to wait for them to ship them. So right now, since you had the resilience of sticking with me to the end of this presentation, your product is reserved while you are currently on this site. Should you decide to leave, your reservation will move to another person, desperately waiting in line for their fair share of this supplement, waiting to reverse their condition. So if I were to give you a piece of advice, that would be to stock up on Glucotox, since it could take us up to 6 months to produce another batch. And that's if things run smoothly, because don't forget about how big pharma companies are hunting us down, threatening to sue us and shut our site down if we don't take this out of the market. If you're worried about not knowing how to administer this supplement, don't worry. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Just drink one of the capsules before eating your lunch. That will allow the vitamins to enter your body unbothered and do their job while you can enjoy your favorite foods. Now, about how many bottles you should get, that's a little tricky. Of course, a bottle of this supplement will last you for 30 days, but you should expect results in less than that. However, there are other factors that we have to take into account. Even though you may eliminate all the excess fat in your organism, you will still need to fortify your defenses against any possible outside factors. That is why I highly recommend choosing the 3-bottle package created especially for people who want to feel safer about this product. But if you want to truly bulletproof your system and enjoy the full benefits of Glucotox, fight against heart complications, rejuvenate your organism, and protect your vital organs, you should definitely go for the 6-bottle package. After seeing the positive results this supplement plan had on more than 80% of the people who ordered it for themselves and loved ones, we can only say this: your body will never get enough of it. Of course, as I said earlier, I don't really know everything about your body. No two people are the same when it comes to their organisms and how they work, so if you want to be completely safe, I'd definitely recommend getting your hands on the 6-bottle package, which will last you for 180 days. That's more than enough time for the active organic substances in every capsule to track down and eradicate any sign of fat that may clog up your arteries and organs while totally rejuvenating you and giving you back your youth. Nothing you have ever tried before even comes close to this. Acupuncture, doctor-prescribed medication, teas, absolutely guarantee you that Glucotox works like a charm, making you leave all those time-consuming and money-wasting methods behind. After hearing all this, I want to ask you a question. How much is your health worth? $100,000? $50,000? $10,000? Look, it's not about the money for us. Thankfully, both Dr. Tsu and I are satisfied with our lives, with a stable financial situation. After hearing the opinions of other people, such as our suppliers, who recommended no less than $597 per bottle, if only for the high quality of the products, my wife told me that after seeing the effects it had on me, the price of $307 would be perfect for 1 bottle. And the test subjects said that they would gladly pay double the price just for the overall effects of Glucotox. We decided to set the price tag not at $597, $397, or not even half of that. Just for you who's watching this right now, you can now get your very own bottle of Glucotox for only $69. And because I know how hard it is to deal with such a disease, I'm going to make you an even better offer. After talking to our suppliers, we managed to get you a discount for the package deal. So if you decide to stock up on 6 bottles of this amazing supplement, which by the way are the perfect amount of Glucotox to last you for as long as you need, you can get your hands on those for no more than $294. But you need to hurry, because once we run out of bottles, and I'm telling you, this can happen in less than 20 minutes, it's going to take us up to 9 months to restock on the ingredients. And while we do that, the buy button below is not going to be active. So make sure you get your hands on it while you still can. Trust me, this is the best investment you're going to make in your entire life. This tiny magic bean has the power to reverse your type 2 diabetes while taking care of every vital organ in your body, rejuvenating you and making you feel 20 again. So don't miss out on what can be your only chance at a normal life. Type 2 diabetes can lead to even worse conditions, such as heart failure or even Alzheimer's. If you think about it, you only have 2 options. Option 1. You remain a cog in the system perfectly orchestrated by Big Pharma and their army of doctors. You keep buying their useless products and will always be at risk, not knowing if you'll live the day to see your grandchildren get married, be happy, and be there for your family. On top of that, there's always the risk of brain disease, which can prove to be even more debilitating. Just imagine looking at your spouse or children and not knowing who they are. I don't even want to think about it. And there's option 2, risk nothing at all. Get your supply of Glucotox now and reverse your type 2 diabetes. Give yourself the life you deserve alongside your loved ones and never regret a thing. Rejuvenate and restore your entire organism in a flash while allowing yourself to eat even the sweetest of sweets. Look, I know you might still be worried. That is why I decided to add an ironclad 60-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. If for any reason you are dissatisfied with the results, simply write a message to me and we'll make sure you get your money back in full. It doesn't matter if you used up the entire bottle or not. We want you to feel 100% comfortable with the choice you make today, and money is the last thing you want to think about when considering your health. That's why we even decided to cover the shipping costs for you. Click the buy button below and it will redirect you to our secure payment site. From there, you can choose to pay with credit, debit card, or even PayPal, so you can fill in your payment details and the product will be shipped directly to your house, discreetly and securely. Don't miss out on what can be your only chance at reversing your type 2 diabetes. I'm Brian Jensen, and I look forward to seeing you become one of the success stories of Glucotox. Still here? Great, that gives me time to answer some of your questions. 1. Can you tell me how this works again? It works like this. Modern science has come to the conclusion that the real reasons behind type 2 diabetes are dangerous microorganisms called ceramides who force toxic fat into the bloodstream and an unhealthy, unbalanced gut flora. Glucotox is the only product on the market that targets these two causes and has only one purpose in mind: complete body rejuvenation of your body and reversal of type 2 diabetes. This is why we chose only the highest quality ingredients with the best properties to be added to this amazing product. We wanted to not only take care of your disease, but your body as well. Try it yourself and experience its beneficial effects firsthand. 2. Is Glucotox safe to use? Glucotox has been created for all ages and medical conditions, and it addresses the root cause of type 2 diabetes. The most important thing you can do today in order to ensure your health into old age is to start using Glucotox. It has all the high-quality natural ingredients that your body needs. Plus, it is manufactured in a highly sterile, FDA-approved and GMP-certified facility. Every ingredient that went into this magic capsule has been tested for purity, and their qualities have been ensured by certified scientists. However, if you do have a medical condition or are currently taking other prescription medication, we strongly advise you to show a bottle of this formula to your doctor prior to taking it, just to make sure everything is in order. 3. How do I take Glucotox? Just a single pill of this supplement per day, administered orally with a big glass of water, should do the trick. This should be enough to activate all the amazing substances in our product. You should do this process daily, either in the morning or in the evening, in order for you to properly clear your body of the toxic substances, fats that accumulate inside you. 4. What if it doesn't work for me? Can I know more about the 60-day guarantee? Looking at the amazing results of this formula, we strongly believe that it holds the power to rejuvenate your system to its core. Now, we know that not everything works for 100% of the people trying it, since everyone's organisms respond differently. This is why we set this ironclad guarantee. If for any reason you are dissatisfied with the results of our product, within 60 days, simply return what you have not used for a full refund. No questions asked, no hidden fees, simple as that. 5. How long will Glucotox be available for? This is a very tricky question, but I'm glad it's here. There are a lot of cases in which the medical industry has shown us that Big Pharma is not afraid to spend millions of dollars in order to remove something so revolutionary and groundbreaking from the market. After all, wouldn't you spend all this money in order to save a $300 billion industry? So all you have to do to be sure is to click the link below today, fill in your details, submit your order, and become one of the success stories today.